Hey guys, if you are struggling with sales, if there's something that's just not clicking and you just can't seem to get right and you feel like a piece of the puzzle is just not there, then this video is for you. Today I'm going to be giving away 5 quick tips. They're all super helpful to get you to that next level and ultimately improve your sales performance. So to start off with, this is pretty straightforward, but you've got to have your body in order. If you want to be making sales, your health, your mind, they have a strong impact on our ability to sell. It's very similar to sport when you think about it. For example, if you don't sleep well, you're not going to perform well in that sort of sports events the next day. If you don't eat well, you're not going to perform well in that sports event the next day. A few little tips that, most people don't actually sort of think about in sales that I've found is very helpful for me is I actually find it very helpful when the room is actually a bit colder. It's actually scientifically proven as well. When it's a bit colder, your brain's more likely to, think a bit quicker, be a bit, snappier. It's a similar with being a little bit hungry. You don't want to be going in there, nice and comfortable, hot weather, the room's nice and cozy in a winter's day, and ultimately, you're full of McDonald's. You're going to find yourself falling asleep, not being as quick, and just not thinking straight forward. Another thing too is your posture. So having good posture, I find that when I'm slumped over taking those calls, it actually affects how I feel. It affects the way I respond. And just by having good posture, using good hand gestures, it makes all the difference. Another thing, and these are things pretty straightforward, but yeah, you need to be sleeping well. You need to be having good food. You need to be exercising, all that sort of stuff. It's imperative to be performing in sales. The next tip is to embody success. So one thing I do when I have sales and I have my little note on the wall is I have $100 million man because I envision myself as the person that I want to be, as that successful person, as that guy walking out of my private jet who's, worth millions and millions of dollars. So ultimately, you've got to imagine the most successful version of yourself and act as if you are all that person. So this sort of theory or like this sort of mindset is mentioned widely in literature. I know a lot of entrepreneurs do it, particularly in sort of psycho-cybernetics and straight line system. They both talk about, in psycho-cybernetics, it talks about working out the person you want to be and acting as if you already are that person. And I know in The Way of the Wolf, Jordan Belfort mentions sort of every time he made a sale, he used to have this like sort of thing he'd smell that would bring him back. It would remind him of making that sale. And then sometimes when he was down or, before a big sale, he'd smell it. And every time he smelled it, it would bring him back to how he felt after he made that big sale, basically embodying the success from his past. So yeah, if you want to be successful, another tip is just to imagine you already are successful. Imagine you are that successful version of yourself and you've already made the sale and you will just perform so much better. So the next step is you need to be constantly reviewing your calls. You need to be very self-aware of how you sound when you're talking to your prospects. A very important thing, and something that I do a lot at my work, is if I have a bad call, the first thing I do is listen back to it. I work out, number one, what I missed. Number two, what objections I didn't handle well. Number three, how I sounded and it came across in the prospect's eyes. It's one thing to sort of work out how you felt in the moment, but when you actually go back and reflect, you can learn so much. So, things like your tonality, your tempo, and ultimately, are you sounding like a sales guy? So if anyone's familiar with Jeremy Miner, he talks about, we're in a sort of age at the moment where people are very anti-sales. Like if you come across very salesy, the first thing, the prospects are going to close off. They're going to be like, no, not interested, don't want to talk. I don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold to, blah, blah, blah. The reality is you need to sound not like a sales guy. You just need to sound like a normal guy calling up this person and ultimately trying to help them. And you can improve this by listening back and working out what you need to improve and basically working out what you need to implement in that next call. I'll give a sort of story. I used to work with this sales guy. He studied sales. He was really smart and he knew a lot about sales. But one thing I felt like he was lacking is he wasn't self-aware in his calls. He didn't take the time to review himself. This guy, and I kid you not, would talk and talk and talk and talk. He would be like 8 minutes before, he'd be talking nonstop for 8 minutes and just going down these rabbit holes before he'd even ask the customer, their thoughts, etc. And, if this guy took the time to be self-aware and review his calls, he would have realized that he was talking way too much. And as a result, he was burning his sales. He wasn't making good sales. The customers were getting bored. They just weren't listening to him anymore. And he wasn't, able to come across in a good manner. And ultimately, as a sales, just as a side note, you want to be getting the prospect to be talking more than you. So, that's one example of how to be self-aware. In regards to reviewing a course too, there is a sort of upgrade to this is you can join a mastermind, you can join a sales group and get experts to listen to your course for you. That will help you astronomically. So the next tip is going to be conviction. And conviction is a big one. Just one of those things that, subconsciously as humans we pick up. Um, I'm sure there's numerous examples of, when we're not convicted, there's little body language things, but just as a general statement, you need to be convicted in what you're selling. If you're selling, ice to an Eskimo and you truly don't believe it's going to help them out, it makes it a lot harder to sell. You don't actually believe in the product, and as a result, the prospect's going to pick up on those sort of subconscious signs. So, and I got this from Alex Amosi, but basically, how you can get true conviction is through two ways. Number one, believing in the product. Ultimately, the product can help them, and as such, you're convicted. Like, I think the product can help you, and because you think the product can help them, and you can see that they're in pain, and you can see that the product can help them, you have pure intentions where you want to help them, and as such, you're truly convicted. So to become convicted, it comes down to two things. Number one, knowing that you can help them out, knowing that the product is what they need, and knowing that the product is legit. You're not scamming them. And then number two, pure intentions. You believe that this is truly what's best for them and truly what's going to help them out. And now the final tip, number 5, is volume, and this is very important to sales. In most things in life, it's just a matter of how long you're doing it for. You will pick up things naturally. Obviously, by doing sort of tips 1 to 4, it can sort of increase the speed of which you're improving. But ultimately, you've just got to be putting in the reps. And one way that you can sort of increase the speed which you're improving and maybe better than your colleagues is putting in more reps each day. So let's say I'm making, one of my colleagues is making 50 calls a day. He might be 6 months into the journey. He's getting better every day from making 50 calls. If I go in and make 150 calls a day, I am learning so much more in that 1 day time frame than him. I'm getting 3 times the experience, 3 times the reps, and as a result, I'm going to learn 3 times as quick. So ultimately, it's very important to put in the reps and just smash it out. Like if you're new to sales, go above and beyond, make the extra sale, make things work. Overall, guys, I hope this helped you out. I hope these tips are practical. These are just some things I wanted to share that have been ultimately helping me out. Feel free to subscribe for more, and there's a few more videos you guys can check out. If you want to see sort of the day in the life of an entrepreneur, I'm going to link that video in the top right corner. But other than that, have a good one. Hope these tips helped. Any questions, feel free to message me, and I'll get back to you and help you out and pass on some more knowledge that I've been learning along this journey. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.